The last thing I did before my son Johnny left was hand him his birthday cake. And within minutes, he was gone. But what most people don't know is what happened the night before. There was an argument. Johnny was shouting. He was angry. He was pushing hard. But I didn't raise my voice. Because in that moment, I started to realize something I hadn't fully seen before. This wasn't just behavior. He was in pain. In the past, I didn't always handle moments like that well. I would react. I would escalate. I would meet his intensity with my own intensity. But this time was different. Instead of pushing back, I leaned in. And calmly I asked him to sleep on it, just for one night. Not to win the argument, but to create space. In the last episode, we talked about the A in the pause plan. Assess. Slowing things down. Asking what happens in the next 10 minutes, 10 hours, or even 10 years. But even when you pause, and even when you assess, you can still misunderstand what's really going on. In the past, I didn't just react to what Johnny did. I reacted to what I thought it meant. And that's what brings us to the next step in the pause plan. In this episode, we'll consider the U in our acronym PAUSE. Understand. Because if you don't understand what's underneath the behavior, you'll keep responding to the wrong thing. When your adoptive home is filled with chaos, fear, and hard behaviors, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and alone. Hi neighbor, I'm Tim Maudlin, an adoptive dad who's been in the trenches. This is Adoption Struggles and Support, a podcast for adoptive parents facing chaos, fear, and hard behaviors who want a safer, more peaceful home. Here you'll find practical biblical guidance and real-life anchors you can hold on to in the hardest moments. Anchors of hope and healing are on the way. Before we get into today's episode, I want to invite you into a private community I created just for adoptive parents. If you've ever sat in the quiet after a hard day with your adopted child and wondered, am I the only one going through this? You're not. I've been there too. That's why I created this community. It's a place where adoptive parents encourage each other, pray for one another, and share wisdom from the journey. Inside the group, I also post weekly encouragement and resources that I don't share on the podcast. Practical tools to help you navigate the real challenges of adoptive parenting. If you're in a difficult season with your adopted child, you don't have to walk it alone. You can join us right now at timsuggest.com/community. That's timsuggest.com/community. You'll also find the link in the show notes. Come join us, and let's walk this road together, one step, one prayer, one season at a time. When Johnny would start to argue and lash out at us, here's what I had to learn. Negative behavior is often in direct proportion to the pain a child is in. Let me repeat that. Negative behavior is often in direct proportion to the pain a child is in. But it doesn't feel like pain to the parent. It feels like disrespect. It feels like rejection. It feels personal. And if I'm being honest, at first his behavior didn't draw me in. It repelled me. Everything in me wanted to pull back, to protect myself, because it felt like he was pushing me away. But when I started to understand that he was in pain, the narrative flipped. It wasn't he was rejecting me. Instead, it became he's hurting and he doesn't know how to handle it. So instead of pulling back, I started to draw closer, even when he was still trying to push me away. Aside from any adoption-related issues and challenges, let me share an analogy that all parents can understand. When you see your child physically hurting, Maybe they're bleeding from an accident they've just had. What do you as a parent do? Well, you move toward them. You help. You stay close. But when the pain is unseen and shows up as negative behavior, unfortunately, we often do the opposite. We take it personally. We get offended and we pull away. But what if that negative behavior is actually emotional bleeding? I'm sure you would be like me. You would draw close instead of pulling away. Let's circle back to Johnny's 18th birthday. The night before, there was an argument. I had remained calm and asked him to sleep on it, hoping that he would reconsider his ideas and desire to leave. But the next day, he still left. I couldn't control that. But understanding what might be underneath all of his anger changed how I showed up. It kept me from reacting in a way that would have made things worse. It kept the door open for our relationship. As I mentioned in the previous episode, we kept the lines of communication open with him by paying for his cell phone. I wish I could tell you that once I understood this, everything changed overnight, but it didn't. Over the next months and even years, I had to keep coming back to this, choosing to understand instead of react. Did I always get it right? Absolutely not. There were still moments I took it personally, moments I pulled back, moments I responded out of frustration. But this is something you work at, something you come back to again and again. Because understanding what's underneath the behavior doesn't happen once. It's a process. Understanding negative behavior in your adopted child starts with a simple question. Instead of asking yourself, why are they doing this to me? Ask, what might be going on inside of them? Let's get to your daily doable and look for some practical ways that we can apply this concept of understanding our child's behavior. The next time tensions rise with your adopted child, I want to encourage you to pause. Then ask yourself, what pain might be underneath this behavior? When you do that, you're allowing the emotions that are rising in you to take a back seat to what's actually going on. And as you do this, look for one small way you can move closer to your child instead of pulling away. Because I believe once you understand they are in pain, your parental instincts will kick in and you will draw close to them. In these past few episodes, we've talked about pausing and then assessing what's really happening. Now we've talked about understanding what's underneath this pain. Because when you understand what's driving the behavior, you stop reacting to the moment and you start responding to the need. In the next episode, we're going to take this one step further. We're going to talk about how to respond in a way that actually builds safety and connection. Remember, you don't have to be perfect in this. You just have to be intentional, because small, steady steps lead to real change over time. That's all for this episode. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, this is Tim, encouraging you to do what you can now. I hope today's episode encouraged you to face the storms in your parenting journey with courage and confidence. If it did, please share this episode with one adoptive parent who might need the same encouragement today. And if you haven't already, a quick review on Apple Podcasts helps more adopted parents find the show. Until next time, this is Tim, encouraging you to do what you can now.